Hey guys, how we doing today? It's Saturday afternoon. I just did a great episode on Prestige 1961 the last couple days. It's pretty interesting stuff, pretty great discography, especially of the soul side of things, soul jazz, blues, R&B, edged jazz from the 60s that was going that direction. A couple thoughts I want to share. I get a lot of people who comment, and I try to respond to as many as I can, if not most. And I get a lot of interesting feedback. I get a lot of validation. I have some people who disagree with me vehemently. And I guess my question to people is, what is the line between being honest and expressing and sharing how you feel, and on the other side, try not to offend people, try not to isolate people, try not to drive people away. And at some point you become milquetoast if you just praise everything. You know, if you never take a stand and you're just worried about driving people away, obviously then the only thing you're really worried about is making money. And at this point, this channel is a pretty small part of my income. Not that I have income right now, I got unemployment right now. So every dollar I make here is great. But do I want to start compromising what I have to say and share in order not to offend people? And I know I speak about politics at times and social economics and history. Some people love it and find it validating. Other people find it challenging. Some people find it almost offensive. And I'm sure I've driven plenty of conservatives away. And I don't even consider myself an American liberal in that sense. I'm not a citizen. I don't vote. I'm not part of the system or really engaged in it. I'm not even paying attention that closely, aside from the broader strokes. I kind of have turned my back on nationalism. You know, I don't want to be contrived and placed into that box. I'm a human earthling. My heritage is global. My community is global. My comfort level. I fear no people, no culture, no race, no religion. And so much of what I see as national policy discourages that type of engagement, that type of interaction. And so I'm always going to speak up against that. I speak about the avant-garde at times, and I'm sure I've driven plenty of those people away. But if I'm not sharing how I honestly feel about it, is it just about going out there and praising every record that you listen to? What's the value in that? You know, you have to have a baseline. You have to have integrity. And I do like a lot of avant-garde when I'm in the mood for it. When I'm having a day that's got edge to it, some edgy McLean or Morgan or Hancock, it could be perfect. Shorter, you know, I speak about Miles Davis at times. I don't hate Miles Davis. I love Miles Davis. I have 70 some of his records. I think his body of work is very impressive. I just think his place in today's collector's viewpoint via the media and via the labels that are still around is very overinflated. It's a critique that some people have a hard time with. Should I not be honest? Should I just praise everything? And I've noticed having records given to me by little small record labels, people ask me to review something. You have a different interaction with that music than you do just listening to something of your own that you've had for 10 years. You feel an obligation to be critical, honest, but somehow reinforcing and positive. You don't want to alienate the guy who gives it to you and say it's garbage. But at the same time, you need to have some credibility. And so it just made me think on a broader scale how a lot of the critics in jazz, if you're critical and honest and ripping things, you're going to stop getting work. Labels are going to stop hiring you. You only can write the back of so many jazz records with negative feedback before they're like, oh, we'll get somebody else. So once you start becoming obligated to make money with it, I think it compromises your values. And as a guy trying to make his way on this thing, it's hard for me to govern that at times. It's hard for me to gauge how much of a stand should I take? How much should I express who I am? How much should I say how I honestly feel? When I speak about audiophiles, I don't think it's awful or wrong, or I think it's great to have a great sounding sound system. Yet, most of my audiophile friends, when I sit and listen to music with them, are thinking and talking about things so different from what I'm hearing, thinking, and feeling. And so that's why where I come from. It's like, Tom Sawyer, let's talk about the book. I don't want to talk about the ink on the pages. I don't want to hear about your speaker wire. You know, it sounds great. Yeah. Let's talk about where this guy's gut was telling him to come from. What's going on with that guy? And it's funny how the two don't really meet. So when I speak about Miles, when I speak about the avant-garde, when I speak about audiophiles, when I speak about politics, I'm obviously going to alienate certain groups at times if I express honestly. Or I could compromise it and be politically correct and never take a stand on nothing. But then that feels gross, dirtier. So I think in the end of the day, I'd rather, and I don't edit things, I don't script things, I don't plan things. Every episode's pretty much me pressing start, and I just speak and it flows and it comes out how it comes out. And the direction often is just guided by my thoughts and my feelings. And I don't go into it at the end of it and edit it and take a bunch of stuff out going, oh, I might offend this. I don't mean to ever offend anybody. I have empathy and I try to comprehend and understand where everybody's coming from on some level, but I do lose patience with certain groups. If you're overly nationalistic, if you're overtly racist, if you're so ingrained in your nationality and the label placed on your can that you forget what's inside the can, I can only communicate with that for so long. And I've said before, it's like having a shelf of canned tomatoes, and there's a few sections of cans that's saying, we're not tomatoes, we're Del Montes. If you've become so American that you think of that before you think of yourself as human, you've become brainwashed. And there's a lot of that mentality. There's a lot of me and my group, the rise of nationalism, the rise of that way of thinking. And I'm not going to align with it. I don't need to criticize it, but sometimes what I say comes off that way. And so I guess I'm asking for a little bit of feedback here. Do you guys appreciate honesty? Or do you want me just to be milquetoast and praise everything? This record's awesome. This record's awesome. This record's awesome. And or do some of you find value in me trying to gauge and express the different experiences and emotional histories and historical backgrounds that are influencing it? I feel that's insightful, but I don't necessarily know. I'm trying to feel my way. And so I know I've gotten into some political issues with a few people, and I try not to make it every episode. I don't. But it is election cycle right now. There's a lot of crazy stuff going out there that's mind-numbingly bold for them to be saying. Stuff I can just see right through. It's like it's so transparent how we're so deceived by some of this stuff. Anyway, just I guess the question is, do you want more milquetoast? More just blind praise of everything and anything? Or do you want the kind of honest rapport I try to bring? And it's something I've just been thinking about. It's like when I get some criticism, I'm okay with it. I read it, I respond to it, but then I think about it for a minute. It's like I don't know what to do. If I stop speaking about all these things with my honest interpretation of how I see them, at what point, what am I offering at that point? You know, and am I going to do that just so I can make more money and my channel will grow faster? But then I also don't want to just have a channel that's just the choir, where everybody who's watching me goes, yeah, exactly what you say, I agree. I want more than that. So what's the right course? How do I navigate that? And I don't know. Moving on. This is a fantastic Wynton Kelly record on VJ. I'm playing in the background. Sounds like Autumn Leaves right there. Paul Chambers, Sam Jones, and Jimmy Cobb. It's actually not one of my two records but I played it while I did that little bit of intro there. Today we're going to do 2x2, and we're going to talk about a couple records I love a lot. The first one I'm going to show you is one of the least popular Miles Davis Columbia records, and it's that for a reason. There was issues when it came out between, I believe, Teo Macero and Gil Evans and Miles, and the tracks weren't finished in Gil Evans' mind, and Teo kind of did some polishing, editing, and put them out anyway. I believe, if I recall right, Gil and Teo didn't speak for a while, and Miles got kind of caught up in that melee in between, and I think he sided more with Gil, if I recall, and so neither of them were very happy with this album as it came out. And yet, in spite of all that, I like it a lot. It's heavily arranged Gil Evans music for white people, you know, but I think that since they're doing the bossa nova-esque type stuff, a lot of it works really well. Once Upon a Summertime, Corcovado, Wait Till You See Her. There's a lot of really pretty melancholy. There's a pretty big absence of the blues. There's not a lot of black African American experience in this record. It's much more targeting a much broader Columbia audience, which all the Gil Evans stuff was. But I think it's an interesting experiment. Miles' mute is strong. It's empathetic. It seems to really just drift over some of those Evans arrangements there. It also doesn't have some of the piercing, bright sounds that Evans will give you on, say, Sketches in Spain at times, where it's just these bright, high horns that are filled with a piercing tone. It's a softer envelope of velvety curtains. I think the cover of the looks a bit like Northern Lights almost, captures those waves of kind of sound. It's very comforting. It's very gentle. Like I said, I've always enjoyed this record, and this goes back before I knew any of the history of it. And it's been omitted from several Miles Davis reissue projects, which tells you something, that Gil Evans loves that bright yellows and oranges all of a sudden splash in your face. I'm guessing if you did lights for a concert, you'd probably get blinded by him at times. It's part of his style, and it's why I don't listen to these records a lot. Sometimes there's just these bright, sharp moments that pierce, and I'm like, my ears don't care for those brights very much after years of headphones and DJing. I like more softer colors and lower end and middle end. The high end stuff is just, it's brittle, it's bright. Like I said, I've enjoyed every record, every song on this record. And it has a very similar melancholy to it. And I think Miles and Gil, if I recall, they felt like things weren't finished or done. And they wanted to kind of, I don't know. It never sounds unfinished to me. This is called Song Number 1. It's nice. Again, it's not as specific in like the Sketches of Spain sense, where it's very Iberian. You know, this is just more cosmic and floating, and it's beautiful. And then on side 2, Corcovado is just fantastic. Miles, it's just soft, contemplative. Reminds me a bit of some of the stuff from Ascenseur sur l'Échafaud, where it just has that soft, plaintive kind of contemplative mood to it. He seems very open and honest and vulnerable, and I like Miles the most when he's showing me the honesty of his vulnerability. I think his bravado, his bright, cocky kind of things at times don't seem genuine. They seem overcompensating. When he's more honest and vulnerable, I feel like I'm getting a more truer sense of Miles and getting into his ethos. And then they wrap up the session, if I recall, with Summer Night. And this is more of just a jazz number. And I don't think Gil Evans is a part of this track. And this is fantastic stuff. I believe George Coleman is on this. Yep, Ron Carter. Victor Feldman's on the piano. So some of the kind of crossover from the Seven Steps to Heaven band. Frank Butler's on the drums still. So it's pretty much that group actually from Seven Steps to Heaven, it looks like. It might even be an outtake from that record for all I know. But it's great. And I remember driving around to this CD and how I always look forward to this track. It's just got a little bit more blues to it, a little bit more bass, a little more of a groove. It's jazz, it's not Bossa Nova Gil Evans. All in all, it's a very wonderful record. I got the a crude Columbia work box set, which is like 30 CDs or something, and it's every Miles Davis Columbia record in these little mini CD record looking gatefold jackets and everything, and this wasn't in there. I did buy it used, so there's a chance that it was omitted or someone lost it, but it's not even on the cover, and all the other covers are on the cover. Like, it's a pastiche of all the different covers on the box, and this isn't on there. So I thought it was strange it got omitted, especially when they included 1958, the jazz track record. They included a couple other things that were pretty obscure. The Tokyo was in there, but this wasn't. And so that's interesting. But I think it's a fun listen. And it's what you need for 4 a.m. You know, when you have this, where it's totally applicable. You know, it's the end of a long come down. And it's breathy, and it's dreamy, and it's provocative, but it's got substance. You know what I mean? It really has some meat to it. It's a great session, in spite of the underlying economics and the discord that exists on it. I could give a damn less about that, honestly. I like it. It fits a nice mood for me, so that's enough for me. Second record I want to show you is a pretty rare piece. Not one you hear discussed very often or you see in the Facebook jazz groups. It's Prestige number 100, I believe, and 7100, the 7000 series. So it's a 100th record, and it's got Barabra Lea singing. A white gal. I can't tell you too much about her, but it's got an interesting group on it. Jimmy Lyon Trio with Jimmy Rainey, Garvin Bushell's on the oboe, Al Casamenti's on the guitar, O.C. Johnson's on the drums, Beverly Peer on the bass, Ernie Caceres on the clarinet. So some names and some not so well known names, but and she has one other record earlier in the Prestige, like 70-67 or so, and that one's really tough to come by as well. This is a nice old pressing, 447 West 50th. So I think that makes this a first pressing if I'm not positive. Again, I'm not a pressings guy. I don't really care about that stuff as much. I want the music on the cover. But Lee and Love, there's some great tracks on here. Will I Find My Love Today?
Will I find
beautiful.
my love today?
It's very gentle, very easy and light. There's a 59-cent sticker on the back here, and then a $3.79 sticker. And now I've seen this record for $100 to $300 when I see it. It's a pretty rare piece. It's beautiful, you know. It's not super rooted in the blues, but it's still got a real elegance to it, and there's enough jazz happening. It's got a soft vibrato. It's very gentle.
Will I could sing
Ernie Caceres.
loveliest love songs together.
Autumn Leaves is on here. You'd be so nice to come home to. Very thought of you. True love. Mountain greenery. Ain't misbehaving. Sleep peaceful. Mr. Used to Be. Dick Carey also does something that Rain you can hear. It looks like. So it's a real cool cover. Kind of a washed out image of her face. Nice heavy cardboard stock. It's not a record I've ever seen in stores. You know, it's a pretty rare piece from what I can tell. And it does illustrate some of the parameters that Weinstock was willing to engage in at Prestige. Blue Note wouldn't have put this out. Savoy would have. Riverside, not in 59, 60, 61, they wouldn't have. Maybe earlier on, maybe. Or on a different sequence they want to put this out. There is some interesting Riverside vocal stuff on different number sequences. But anyway, fun record, Barabra Lea. It's not one you see very often, and it's certainly not spoken of or shared of very often. But there's some great Jimmy Rainey guitar right there. Beautiful. It's killer. Yeah. That's what jazz is supposed to do, man. It's supposed to be honest and express itself and feel something. And when a guitar player comes in, he's supposed to somehow emote in a complimentary sense what the singer was just saying. And that was wonderful. That was Rainey really tapping in to what she's about and trying to get across. I think that's Johnny Windhorst on the trumpet. Yeah, Johnny Windhorst. All in all, it's a great session. Fun record. And if you stumble across it, I would grab it. You probably won't find it for $1.49 or all those various pricings right there. I'm always thankful for a few stickers on a record. If this doesn't have the stickers on it and the marker on it, I probably had to pay 3 times as much for it. So that's that. Miles Davis Quiet Nights. I think it's a great listen if you want that kind of mellow melancholy just to wash over you and be soothing. Barabra Lea is a very fun record, and that Wynton Kelly's also great. And then share with me some thoughts on what's the line between sharing honestly and balancing it between keeping people listening so it's not just an echo chamber of people all who just agree with me across the board. I don't want that either. You know, there's no point in that. So when you just speak from the heart, sometimes it's going to be hard to find that parameter anyway, you know, but I'm always interested to hear what people have to say. Appreciate you all. Y'all have a great day. Have a good weekend. I got to do some work on the house tomorrow, later today, so I won't be around much to comment, but I'll try to catch up on my comments by Monday. Y'all be safe. Peace.